Greetings, Twilight Struggle fans, and welcome to our Game of the Week here on Action Round Zero. I'm Justin Abramson. Peter Frantz is coming right up, and today we've got something a little different for you, as we will show you a U.S. Cup matchup between Team Colorado, headed by Jordan Cass, and defending champion Team Washington, led by Casey Alexander. Last year, the Evergreen State sneaked into the playoffs as the bottom seed from their group, but knocked off Nevada, Texas, and much to my chagrin, the District of Columbia on their way to a title. They are 0-1 this year with a loss to Maryland in their opener, but there's still plenty of Twilight Struggle left. Ajoy Chakrabarti joins Casey on the Washington side today, and on the other side, we have Team Colorado, who went 3-3 last year and barely missed out on the playoffs. Jordan's squad from the Centennial State is 2-1 on the season and would be in great position to advance this year with a win in this game. Ronnie Jeter joins Jordan on his side in his quest to return to the playoffs. So wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is for you, buckle up, folks, and come on along for the ride as these two teams go head-to-head here on Action Round Zero, Twilight Struggle's biggest stage. Now let's bring in Peter Frantz. Peter, we're going to be watching from the Washington side today. They are playing as the USA. So as we boot up the game here, tell me what you think of this turn one hand.
Yeah, it's pretty average. Obvious defectors headline. I like getting Korean War out of the deck permanently right away and filling Korea. It's nothing to write home about, but not terrible either.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that this is an easy defectors. Hope to hit Purge or something of that nature. And then we'll probably see an Iran coup. Peter, are you, speaking of opening setups, are you a 4-4-2 guy, or do you like to get spicy with 3-3-2, something different?
I'd say 80% of the time it's 4-4-2. I mean, if I have Marshall, I'd do a Marshall setup, but little would change that for me.
Yeah, me as well. As a streamer, people can see what I headline, so I don't want to get into a pattern with my opening setup, so I almost always set up the same way. But yeah, they go ahead and go 4-4-2. They don't go aggressive with the defectors headline coming. And they hit Nasser. That's not a bad hit. Probably hoping for something maybe with a little higher number in that top left corner, but Nasser's a great hit early on.
Speaking of great hits, that's a big roll.
Yeah, big card, big roll. So Team Colorado tries the immediate coup with Purge on Iran, decides not to headline Purge, and instead they coup Iran, roll a big 6. And now the question comes to, you've obviously got to take presence in the Middle East, and I think you want to get to Malaysia here as well, right? Because you have duck in hand, so you don't have to worry about the duck coup.
Yep, and I would do Egypt because Nasser now in the discard pile.
Yep. Warsaw, I suppose, can wait. You have NATO in hand. Um, but yeah, if I only had it, you could just go with a 2-op here because you don't need to worry about Nasser. You could go Lebanon, Malaysia. You could go
Yeah.
with a 3-op. The issue is, I guess you don't want Lebanon Kud because that could be annoying. Then you've got to go into Egypt and AI war becomes a bigger problem. I think you probably will want to play AI war for ops here. Take Lebanon with the ops so it only succeeds on a 6. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think we play. Okay, there we go. Even Middle East, not bad. That also tells a little bit about their hand, I would say, because they could fight a little stronger for this. But okay. Um,
Yeah, I'm a little
yeah, I don't.
surprised to see that. You maybe suggest they don't have a lot of ops, or maybe suggest they have access cards, decall or destall, and they don't want to waste time messing around in the Middle East. They just want to get DEF CON down and start spreading. What do you think, Peter?
I think that makes sense. And given that Iran's a 4, I also don't think that the U.S. has to rush the coup. I would get Korean War out right here and try to lock that up and let them lower DEF CON, and maybe we get the last coup if they get a good hit in Panama or something.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'd be triggering Korean War here. The other thing you can think about is getting the first space off. But with Korean War in my hand, I like triggering it right now, see if we can win the war. Um,
I guess they're gonna space Korean War if they do this.
yeah, okay. Okay, and they go ahead with that. The roll is a 5, so would have succeeded without Lebanon. But they put a second in South Korea, which is interesting. And I suspect we'll see, yeah, that's exactly what I thought we'd see is just 3 in South Korea. So that was a little bit of a weird play from Team Washington. I would have thought they would have either taken South Korea and planned to space the war, or just triggered the war there, hope they won,
Yeah.
and see what they got. Of note, Team Colorado decided to headline Nasser and not Purge. Typically, I mean, Purge is an extremely strong headline for the Soviets on turn 1. Typically, your best reason for not headlining it is, well, obviously you have something better to headline, but also that maybe the rest of your hand is not that good and you feel like you need the ops. So maybe they don't have a 4-op to take South Korea. So okay, yeah, and now they're going to space.
Would you, if they're spacing Korean War, would you just take South Korea with NATO first, or is that too expensive?
I kind of like it, but yeah, if that were my plan, I would have taken South Korea with 2 ops on my
Yeah.
AR2.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, okay, you space it, you get your 2 VPs, that's nice, but Team Colorado is just going to say, okay, Korean War has been spaced, we obviously must take South Korea immediately, which I'm sure they'd be fine
Yeah.
with if they don't have access cards. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention Gavin in
Yeah,
the
we're
intro.
giving them stuff to do, which makes it hard for them to lower DEF CON, which is a plus, I guess, because they should take South Korea here, I would think.
Yeah, but Washington's going to need to coup here at some point. They're going to need their mill ops. Okay, EEU. It's not really a problem because certainly Evergreen State will give Warsaw, but I guess they will wait until AR6 for blockade. Now, what would you do, Peter? Would you take your coup here?
Um, yeah, maybe on Iraq here. It's not bad. I think Iraq's better than Iran
Okay, they
with a
roll.
2-op.
Yeah, they roll a 3. So a 3 would have taken 1 out of Iran. Um, even a 6 wouldn't have gotten anything into Iran, but potentially would have weakened it a little bit. So they go for Iraq instead, and they miss on the roll. Needed a 5 there to do anything. Now here we are, AR5. Now I'm generally, as the US, fine giving up 1 VP to mill ops on turn 1 if I've got other stuff to do. Now we'll see if Team Colorado has decall, because certainly if they have decall, they'll trigger it now and attack France and Thailand.
We do have some ops left, so that's pretty nice. But I'll have to make a choice if they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, Washington really needs to get Thailand and get some Southeast Asian countries because they, barring a big IP war, so they're going to just space at DEFCON 3. Okay, so they clearly don't have DCAL or Vietnam.
Good for us.
Yeah, so yeah, filling France makes sense. Take Europe domination. The one in Thailand, though, is tricky. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that, Peter, because if you don't coup on AR6, Thailand becomes incredibly vulnerable to a coup.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of need to lower DEFCON. Okay, now we lose our Europe dom.
Yeah. Okay. So now, yeah. So I think the Team Colorado just want to make sure that Team Washington didn't have the scoring. So now they're not going to be able to take Europe dom here. So yeah, I think you're going to take Thailand instead, right? Because you can't. You need a 4-op to take. Yeah, I think this is right. I don't know about a second in France. Does a second in France do much?
Does De Gaulle take 2 out? Yeah, it does take
Yeah,
2
De
out.
Gaulle
So
takes 2 out. I do, and Marshall's not going to give you Dom because it's not going to get you a non-battleground. I think I would leave the 1 in France
yeah.
and maybe take Lao here. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I definitely agree in retrospect that not putting anything in Thailand is better, and you could put all these ops into Europe and hope to draw Marshall for the Dom. Or if you're feeling crazy enough, headline CIA to fill the last battleground or non-battleground. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's I don't like this here.
Yeah, the 1 in Thailand on AR5 was kind of put him in a box here on AR6. Forced them to either coup, in which case Thailand is open anyway. Remember, Defectors was headlined to start the game, so a Vietnam headline or a decall headline would guarantee Thailand. But okay, now DEFCON going up to
And
4, and this is a nice hand.
yep, this is good.
So happy to see Europe. You just don't want to see De Gaulle here.
Yeah, exactly. Would you consider headlining CIA to lower DEFCON so they don't get queued out of Thailand? Or I mean, this is good too, but I'm worried about Thailand.
Yeah, definitely worth worrying about. I don't know. I might not be as worried about Thailand. I guess, yeah, I mean, it's a good coup target. But the other thing is, um, it's still going to be it's still going to be quite a bit of work D-stall. Okay. It's going to be quite a bit of work for for Team Colorado to take domination in Asia because we have decall here and we can take Southeast Asian countries, 3 countries for 3 ops. So maybe Thailand's not as big a prize. We'll see.
They could take Dom right here and score it with DEFCON at 4. I mean,
Yes.
I don't hate that move, honestly. Get one into Indonesia and then go to some other more important places for the future, but get that 5 points in Asia if they have it.
Yeah, I like that play a lot, Peter. I think that's a good play. You don't have a ton to do here on DEFCON 4. Yeah, you're probably going to go into Venezuela, but if you eat a coup, you're just going to coup right back. Yeah, Lao. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. Oh, they do not score, so maybe they don't have it. They take a big coup and it hits.
And there's a big one.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's nice, but now you've opened yourself up to a big coup here.
That also kind of indicates to me that they don't have Asia, because I think they would have scored it right away, don't you think?
I definitely would have. And I would have scored Asia, let Washington coup if they wanted to, and then I get a coup back with NTB. Okay, anything but a 1 here. Oh, and they get a 4. Okay. Okay, so Team Colorado decided to coup Thailand. They're giving up Venezuela and Brazil in order to get Thailand. Ah, boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that too much. But also of note, Washington is now blockade vulnerable with blockade around. And they're all of a sudden very low on ops with the burning containment for that coup.
Yeah.
It was an extremely important coup, so I'm not saying it was a bad move, but Yeah, they're very low on ops. CNS probably still an event. They've got to worry about blockade. They've still got to fill a non-battleground in Europe and score their Dom. And they're just going to hope Colorado doesn't have Asia, because Asia looks like it's just going to be a nightmare the whole game for them.
Yeah. Again, I would think that they don't, but maybe they're just being greedy.
Yeah. Confidently striding into Pakistan like that when they already have Dom suggests they're just trying to run up the score, and they have the war. IP war would be a good hold for Team Colorado if they had it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What if we'll see a DeGaulle or Sakov's here to stop the domination? We haven't seen either of those cards, right?
We have not.
So they don't have much they can do to. I mean, Truman could get DeGaulle out of France if they wanted to, but okay, they're going to let.
You just got to score
Washington
here.
Have the Dom.
Let them have the Dom. They've got gets them a much needed 5 VPs. You don't have to worry so much about blockade. Oh, and U.S. Japan for.
I probably would have played that. I probably would have, gotten to Zaire and maybe retaken Dom Middle East or something.
I would have as well, and honestly, I don't see other players do this, but that might have been a situation where you take it, you trigger it, and you just dump the 3 ops right back into Japan, and that immediately puts an Asia controlled threat on the table, and forces Washington to contest Japan, spend early war ops in Japan, and if they don't, they might get Asia controlled.
Yeah.
But it's not as good a play when you have. Sorry to interrupt you, Peter. I was just going to say that jam of Japan is not as good a play when you have places to go with your ops, and clearly Team Colorado does. They need to get to Zaire. They want to fill at the bottom half of South America. They want to get into India. There's lots to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So Washington at this point just hoping that they do not see blockade. Oh.
And there it is.
Speak of the devil. And yeah, no, I would not put Truman in there. Yeah, you've just got to put Olympics in there.
Yep. Hope they put a 4 up in there right now or something.
Yep. I believe we have seen all the 4s. Is that right? Purge was used for the opening coup. NTB was used on the first coup on turn 2. Marshall was triggered. U.S.-Japan was spaced. And NATO was used by the U.S. So, yes, we have seen all the 4s. But I do... Oh, they did have SOC-Govs. SOC-Govs would have been a big problem for Washington, and they didn't trigger it. Okay, I don't think this is what they wanted to see. I would have been more aggressive
with that, yeah.
I'm
nope.
Little surprised, but okay. Here we go, turn 3. Add a Europe redraw. Very nice, but
that's very nice.
What is your headline here, Peter? You don't want to headline any of these cards.
Good question. No. I mean, you could do Fidel and try to reline it out. Just get it. I mean, you're going to play it anyway, probably.
I mean, I think aren't you going to space Decall and UN Fidel? You could even space both with double space. I think on turn 3 you want to.
Let's hope we don't get purged. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
that's going to make the Europe a little harder too.
Yeah, maybe Europe was the appropriate headline with De Gaulle known to be coming.
Yeah, that's true. You can also double space here. I didn't consider that.
Yeah, I had not been thinking about that, but maybe you knew Team Colorado had De Gaulle. Also, Colorado stays in Pakistan but doesn't go to India. A pretty dead giveaway that they don't have that they have the war, and we're almost certainly holding it through.
Now, do you be aggressive here as Colorado and take? Okay, no, they're going to take the coup, which, all right.
So they're going to take the coup. And I think you just immediately refill France and take West Germany. You're going to lose Algeria here. You're going to lose points for Mill-Ops. Mm-hmm. What do you think? So obviously we have the benefit of knowing that Washington has Europe in hand. But what do you think of that play? Do you like taking France or taking the coup? It's a 2 point swing on Millops, plus you get the coup in Panama, plus you get plus obviously you protect Africa, but obviously France is arguably the most important battleground country on the board. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they made the right move. Now, they didn't know that Europe was redrawn. That might have affected things, but given their knowledge, I think I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's a fine play, and just force them to immediately spend those ops, and it gets you Algeria, which is not nothing.
Yeah.
So you get Algeria, you get Panama, you get Millops, you keep Angola and Zaire at the cost of France and a Europe domination. That was a pretty good trade for Team Colorado, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and U.S. Japan redraw.
Okay, this time they're playing U.S. Japan after getting that Asia scored.
Yep. Okay, so no surprise there. You just got to take Brazil. So 4 ops left. Presumably, you could see Fidel spaced to try and get to headline peak, but I think I'd UN it because I want to take Mexico and Libya here, right?
Yeah. I would do that.
I really want both Mexico and Libya. Plus, I want to be able to space, Libs or whatever if it comes around turn 4.
Mexico, Libya, both big, and USSR needs to take Syria, threaten that domination.
Yep, Nasser's still in the deck.
Nasser's still in the deck, yeah, exactly. And I would definitely get one into India. Brush War or Puppets could be a problem later in the game, of course.
Yes. Wow, I'm a little surprised to see that, but they spaced Fidel. They really wanted that headline peak, and they're going to get it.
So do you go India? You go Mexico or Libya here with the last 2?
I think you got to go Mexico. If Team Colorado doesn't take Syria, I would definitely go Mexico.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you take Mexico. Okay, they do go Syria, set up the Dom. They VOA proof and PCR proof Panama. This has to be Mexico. Yeah, I thought both of them were necessary, so I was a little surprised to see the space shot. But okay, here we are, turn 4. Sure enough, there's Middle East.
Nice Brush War, though.
Yeah, nice cultural as well. Get that out of the deck, probably on AR1. Usuri is nice to steal China after cultural's gone, but boy, I think you probably wish that you could play on with the other effect and threaten Pakistan and India.
Yeah.
Gotta think your brush target is Panama here, but obviously that don't need to make that decision till later. Algeria is also fine.
They do have peak here, so we can see what Colorado has first.
Yeah, what is your thinking here? Are you going to headline brush? And just because you don't really, you clearly are not headlining Usuri. Panama Canal does very little, so I think this is just a brush headline almost no matter what Team Colorado goes with.
Yeah, I don't see anything that's better, unless you're afraid of getting cooed in one of the Americas. You could do Latin American, but I think that's not as good as brush. Oh,
yeah, that's
now you might get cooed anyways.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's. Okay, so yeah, thinking about Panama to save the ops. I don't know. I think a brush of Panama is probably fine here, right? But maybe they want to save brush to try and take back whatever is taken with ABM.
I mean, you could still do that here in the headline, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Panama Canal doesn't do much for you because you can just coup Brazil. Yeah, I'm a little confused. A little confused by Panama here. Latin American death squads, obviously, it was not going to trigger until after the ABM coup.
Yep. I don't know. I'm just guessing they want to hold on to Brush War and make a decision later in the turn. Um, it seems like the best headline, but you can also just have that as a rationale. Like, let's just see how things play out,
Yep.
and then decide.
So they did hold UN, um, and so they can now. Oh, they're not going to coup. Okay,
Interesting.
that makes
Oh,
sense.
doesn't.
So now, okay, in this hand, yeah. So a lot of good, a lot of bad, as they say. Pope and CRGs are problems, but some big cards there. Allende not really going to do much. Okay, this makes sense because you're going to give up a coup in Africa now, right? And then
Yep.
so and then you take the coup back. Now, if I'm Washington, I think I don't you coup Lao here instead of Africa because you want to get the last coup. Okay,
Yeah, that could be. Oh, and
or you're just gonna
hate to
roll a
miss.
one. But see, if we
Yep.
rolled a
Doesn't
one in
matter in that case.
Lao, then
Yeah.
we could guarantee ourselves a coup in Africa. Now they're just going to take a coup in presumably Brazil. It doesn't do anything unless they roll a six. Um, but and then DEFCON's down to two, and you've got nothing out of CIA. Yeah, so a couple of
Two
ones,
ones.
and Team Colorado gets rid of CIA quite painlessly.
Sets up realigns if we do this and threatens Nigeria.
Yeah, but I think you're gonna if you do this, you're gonna just see Colorado to go to Nigeria to Tunisia with their four-op. That protects Algeria,
Right.
takes Nigeria, and threatens Libya all at once.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad play. Making them use their four-op to take a country like Tunisia is not nothing. But I think it's I think it's a fine play.
They're thinking about it.
Yeah, and then you got to use you've got to use also I would use cultural here. I think
Yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
get it out right away. That the hand that Colorado has doesn't suggest that they are going to play China, but I would like to get it out AR1 anyway. I would be
Definitely.
fine
I
losing
mean,
the one
there
op.
was some weak aspects to their hand,
Yeah,
so
yeah, okay. And they do that. They roll big, so
okay.
probably just wasted an op. But I'd rather waste an op and just get that card out permanently.
Mm-hmm. All right, see if they do the purge here. Nigeria, Tunisia.
They might just go one Tunisia
Probably.
on the theory that if they get realigned out, they can just go right back in, and that there's no way, I cannot imagine that Team Colorado would let Libya go and to try and get those realigns on Algeria. So I think just two
Yeah,
Nigeria,
yeah.
one Tunisia is fine. But you're going to
Yep.
end up you're going to want to take it anyway. So we'll see what they do. I think maybe just CMC two Nigeria, one Tunisia is probably fine.
What do you feel? How do you feel about Indonesia? Is that pressing?
Oh yeah, that is important. It's obviously two VP swing. Okay, they are going to do that. Wonder if yeah, and you called it. You called it. So I called it with two Nigeria, one Tunisia, and you called it with Indonesia. This is why we have two commentators, so we can both see important things. And sure enough, Washington responds by taking Libya, which is the thing they had to do anyway. Stops Middle East Dom.
Which is in their hand?
Yep.
All right, now you could try the realigns. Not great with Tunisia and France allowing USSR back in, but also doesn't affect domination.
Yep. Now, if I were Colorado, I think I like the idea of maybe taking Tunisia and getting into South Africa. Oh, India. Okay, yeah. And that makes Brush a lot less of a valuable target. Dumping Middle East seems to
still
make
like
sense.
Panama?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they
Panama
were going to
still
go
the best brush
Pakistan
target?
regardless. But yeah, I think Panama is good, although it's no longer full strength.
You could coup Colombia first, and maybe they're doing that here.
Yep.
Nope.
Oh, big number in Saharan states. That's annoying because I was going to suggest, ooh, Angola, and they miss. Wow, they roll a one, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm a little
Might have
surprised
filled
about
South
Angola.
Africa first. Yeah.
Feel like Angola can flip so easily. I might have gone Panama with the same odds. I also, if I was going to go Angola, I think I would have taken South Africa first because I think this will go into saying that's
Now they
exactly
can
what they're
rush
going
it.
to do and threaten control. And there's not much Washington can do about that.
Yeah.
They were quick on the trigger for that
Now you're
Angola play. I think I would have liked Panama better. That 6 on Saharan states would have been big because if they hadn't rolled that 6, I was going to suggest a Cameroon coup. That threatens Nigeria, realigns, and threatens Zaire as well, forces an immediate fix. Now, Colorado, keep in mind, has the Pope in their hand, and they also have CRG. So they're going to need to space one of those cards. They go with the Cameroon coup anyway to threaten Zaire.
What's their last card? Do we know?
I think we're going to see it right now because I don't think they can. Nope, they're going to space.
So we flip then.
I think you have
Missouri?
to. Don't you have to?
Or hope for Kennedy. Well,
Yeah, or nuclear subs. But yeah, ABM and Brush
Yeah.
are gone. So those are the only 2 power cards that can help you in Africa. So yeah, you're hoping if you don't flip here, you're looking at a control in Africa. Obviously, grain can get you 1 battleground, but if you want to really get out of this terrible scoring, you're going to need nuke subs or Kennedy. I don't think we're eventing Usuri this early in the game. Okay, they trigger Korean War and they.
Oh.
That's big. Okay, and they go Saharan with the coup. They decide. So, a little surprised at that. You're threatening the realigns on Nigeria. Again,
I really can't give John Paul either. It's got to be the other card, whatever it is.
CMC. Yeah, CMC. I remember that. So that's going to go 1 there. 1. They overprotected Panama and they took South Africa. They did not overprotect Zaire, which is interesting. But I suppose the fact that Washington decided not to flip it suggests that they didn't have a playable 3. Yeah, and they're just going to flip it now. I'm a little surprised. I think I would have overprotected Zaire before Panama. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Completely agree, Peter.
And then not evented Korean War.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, they do get a UN target in Quagmire. Yeah, I would have used. I would have used Usuri on AR6 to flip Zaire, and then AR7. You could have UN'd Korean War, but I think you probably just getting it out and holding it for this is fine. Okay, Junta, annoying to see. That means you're going to lose Brazil. Unless you headline defectors, but boy, you really want to headline grain and flip a battleground in Africa. Ugh, this is rough. What do you do, Peter?
Yeah, I think I'd go defectors here, but yeah, them queuing Zaire also very bad.
Yeah,
which they might do if we defectors it.
Yeah, so you're saving Brazil here, but you're going to lose Zaire. But yeah, if you let Junta go off, I mean, if you let Junta go off, you're losing either Brazil or Mexico. But presumably, yeah, and then you'd have to coup Colombia. Yeah.
I mean, on the flip side, if we'd headlined grain and couped Angola, we would stop their dom completely. And now we're probably gonna have to play grain sales anyways if we UN something. Yeah, because now we have. That's the other side of this is now we are getting controlled in Africa.
Yeah, and we don't have a good path to stopping that because yeah, you're right. You're not going to hold. You're not going to play UN for ops and hold grain here. I don't think. Is this just a real line? Yeah, I think you trigger grain here, right?
Probably.
Holding it is so awkward.
Yeah.
Because I think you want those 3 ops of Quagmire.
I think so too.
So let's take stock of the board. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say we could also space Quagmire for 3 points and UN something else, but nothing else is really that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you take stock of the board here, Central America's even, South America's even, and then Europe obviously is blue, but Africa is controlled by to Team Colorado, and Asia also Team Colorado well ahead. Yeah, that's probably not the card you wanted because you're just going to event that. Yeah. I think you probably hope that Colorado would play that for you. But okay, they do have to use
Let's
four
take it
ops
right
to
back.
fix. Yeah. And stop the realigns. That makes sense. And yeah, there's nothing here. Okay, and again, looks like they're going to space Quagmire instead of UNing. I don't know. I'd like to take Malaysia and Philippines for a couple of VPs. Maybe get into Saudi. I'd like to take Guatemala. Even Cuba, honestly. You need to get some VPs on the board. Well, that's one way to get VPs on the board is just hit the space roll.
Yep. Our man would have been nice to have for Africa or Southeast Asia, but
yeah,
guess not.
Yeah, and it's obviously a must space with two strong scoring cards out there. Would you? Okay, yeah, that doesn't do anything.
Not sure, yeah, what that's about.
Would you think since they space?
We also need our mill ops here.
Yeah, they need their mill ops, so they're going to have to coup Colombia or a 2-stab in Africa, which always feels gross. Hate to do that.
That wouldn't affect Dom either. Yeah, here's
even a full flip. I don't think does anything. They need a 6. They don't get it.
Yeah, I think Colombia's probably better there.
Yeah. Washington's showing a lot of eagerness to space. I guess they're going to hold UN. Honestly, if I was going to space Quagmire, I think I would have held Grain instead of UN. I just played UN for ops, as gross as that is in the mid-war. What do you think, Peter? I really would have really want to get a coup in Africa.
Yeah, I don't mind spacing Quagmire, but yeah, I would have played that differently for sure. Grain's such a great card. Getting the Pope is fine, but getting a coup is better.
Yeah. Now to be fair, I suppose we're probably looking at an AR7 Bear Trap. So
yep.
we'd probably get a coup out of that.
Yep. But if we get trapped, then Colorado's dumping Africa on the headline, I think, regardless, if they get it.
Yeah. Missile Envy for Ops, which makes sense. We've not seen We Will Bury You. Eastern Europe's looking a little bit weak. So
yeah, definitely weak.
I don't think it's weak.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Philippines.
Yeah, Philippines makes sense. I don't know, like spacing Comic Con's a little bit out there, but Evergreen State has shown a proclivity to space here. They took a space shot with Fidel when I would have UN'd it to fill Libya. They just spaced Quagmire instead of UNing it. But to be fair to them, the key countries to fill are at this point in scored regions. You could take Saudi or Israel, and you could take Cuba. Obviously, Central is unscored. But getting up there in the space race is not nothing either. Getting to discard would be nice. Obviously, nothing to discard here.
If we take Cuba, then Ortega. We'd want to be a discard for that, for sure.
Yeah. So, Peter, I don't know what your thoughts are, but so the power cards are gone. We've seen them. We have not seen Salt, a quasi-power card. I think if you told me here that the U.S. was going to get nuclear subs or Kennedy and get out of Africa scoring, I might like the U.S. position a little bit better. But boy, if Colorado can get Africa off for 10 or even for 6 after Bear Trap, that would be really big for them, and I'd much prefer their position.
Yeah. U.S. has a good Europe and not much else at the moment. Now, OAS or something could change South America, which would be nice.
Yeah.
But,
so OAS and
definitely
Puppets,
liking the USSR position.
Are around. Yeah, I'd much rather be the USSR here at the moment. But again, nuke subs flipping all 3 African 1-stabs, and all of a sudden, I think I'd much rather be the U.S. But that's a lot to ask. And of course, that all has to happen before the scoring.
Yeah. Comes turn 7, it might be a little bit more favorable to the U.S., but even then, it's going to be expensive.
Yep. Game's nowhere near over. Lots of Twilight Struggle left to play, but the big cards, most of the big cards that can help you get back in the game are for the mid war at least are gone. Okay, and so they had We Will Bury You. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They had We Will Bury You, decided not to trigger Missile Envy. Okay, and they do take the
What if
trap.
it's gotten Comic-Con?
Yeah, so it wouldn't have done much. Okay, yeah, Sadat, not the great card, not exactly what you want to see with Nasser around. So, is this this seems like a containment hand, isn't it? Alliance is 4, but I think it can probably wait. This seems like a nice containment hand, doesn't it?
Probably. Again, I would want to see what they headline first, but Containment seems like the best choice here. If they go Central, then I'd probably do Puppets.
Yeah. Pick up a couple of VPs, and you of course do have the you have headline peak. And okay, so Africa right now is sitting 8 countries to 2, so no chance to nothing can be done there. But yeah, they are. Colorado is in the trap, so presumably Evergreen State wants to just take a coup in Africa on AR1.
Yep, I would definitely be doing that.
Defectors
Probably
is
even
gone.
if they headline Africa here.
Yeah, Defectors is gone. So Colorado, if they have Africa, I think should be headlining it. Defectors and CRGs both gone, and ABM and Brush.
Voice
Puppets,
is still
yeah.
around, I think, right?
Yes, you're right. It is. But even Voice, what's Voice gonna do? I mean, if they want to use
stops the Dom. The only thing, yeah.
Does it stop?
Use it in
Dom,
Africa.
though?
It stops control. I mean,
it stops control. But it's not gonna. But it can't stop Dom. And yeah, I think Muslims. That's annoying. Doesn't let them back into Libya. Okay, and yeah, that's really problematic because they're going to lose Libya now unless Team Colorado misses a roll, which I'm a big fan of missing Quagmire rolls. Oh, and they get out in 1. So okay, yeah, you're going to take the coup here in presumably Nigeria.
oh, don't roll a 1, guys.
Anything but a you know what.
Also, keep in mind we have U2 and UN.
Yeah,
so...
no, do not do this. I don't like this. Because
no.
I guess you could hold UN again because South African is whatever on this board. Okay.
And they rolled a 6, so yeah, not worth it.
Yeah,
things are looking worse and worse for the U.S., but keeping in mind, like what you said before, is Europe is pretty weak, and DEFCON threats are available. They can't get the China card back unless USA voluntarily plays it. Of course, we don't have it yet, but
yep, we have not seen Nixon. Okay, there's Libya. No, I don't like Sadat here.
No, definitely don't play. Yeah,
Nasser is around as well, so I think you have to take Egypt with a non-Sadat card.
I might even Puppets into Egypt as part of a larger play.
Oh, that's
maybe
not bad.
Afghanistan too, or something.
Yeah, okay. Puppets, Egypt, Afghanistan, and then maybe a Central American country to take Dom.
Yeah. We have seen Camp David.
Yes, Camp David was triggered. This is fine.
I don't like taking Egypt here with Sadat in our hands, but sure.
I guess, yeah.
I guess we haven't seen Nasser, right?
Yes, Nasser was defected. So yeah, that's my concern is that Nasser was hit with defectors. And certainly Team Colorado would have scored Africa before South America. So a big break there for Team Washington. That Africa's not coming out to turn 7. We also have not seen Kennedy, and we've not seen nuclear subs.
Oh, I would space that, right?
I
mean,
yeah. I guess you do space it under containment. Get yourself to discard.
I don't know why
I also don't know what the
Other cards. I
rush
mean,
was on that. I might have invented Alliance here and taken 4 VPs.
yeah, also good.
Yeah, you make a good point there. We've kind of gotten on Washington a little bit for spacing when we thought they could use the ops instead with UN. But now, yeah, spacing that wouldn't have been bad. And you maybe 2/3 shot to get to discard, and obviously set yourself up to potentially get 4 VPs later.
Yep. Nothing really worth discarding in this hand if we're holding UN.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all blue cards.
And giving away Botswana, if you coup Cameroon and you hold on to it, then puppets into Zimbabwe, Sudan, Ethiopia stops Dom.
Yep. We haven't seen Che either, correct?
No, we've not seen Che, so good chances in Colorado's hand. Okay, they take the coup instead of the event for one small step. Yeah, that would have been a lot
Doesn't even
more
stop
effective if we hadn't given away Botswana.
Yeah. So many good Che targets now.
Yeah, and if they
See
have,
if they have it.
if they have Che, it clearly comes now. Although if I had Che, I would have used it. I think I would have used it last turn. Oh, they do have OAS, and they had Brezhnev. Boy, so I'm a little surprised by that. They decided to headline Muslims instead of Brezhnev. They could have used Brezhnev and then dumped OAS to the trap.
Yep. That would have been really good.
Muslims could have been used during an AR, right? I mean, you could have just used Muslims to take them out of Libya and Egypt, and then you got Libya, and they weren't afraid of missile envy. Missile envy was gone. So yeah, Brezhnev. Guess they really wanted to dump Duck to the trap.
Yeah, kind of confusing.
But boy, I don't like giving OAS. I don't like giving OAS with the opponent under containment like that. Even with South America scored. Yeah, I like this. I like this.
Yep. See if we can get an extra point for Alliance.
Yeah, but what are you going to use to take it on AR6? I think Sadat has to be held, doesn't it? With Nasser coming?
I guess it's UN then.
Yeah, you're
going
to have to play UN.
Card, yeah.
After all that holding of UN. Okay, well, and we spoke about Nixon. Now, all 3 China card events have been seen. Okay, and they're going to use Sadat. Yeah, that... Ugh.
Now, just imagine if the USA draws Kennedy, Southeast Asia, and Africa here, and how we've been moaning over their position this game. That would change a lot.
Yes,
Turn 7 after the reshuffle, getting all of those.
Yeah, getting all those out would be huge, especially because they just flipped over Chile. I really don't like how casually Team Colorado gave up Chile. This is Alliance for 5. Yeah, got to take your 5 immediately. And they hold UN yet again. And they get
Kennedy. They do. With Africa and South. I called it, man. I called it. Wow. Oh, my gosh.
And they get Nasser to UN. They finally get a great UN target. Boy, their play looks great of Sadat. They hold UN all the way through. They get Nasser to UN. They get Kennedy to...
no, Nasser's going to Kennedy, right?
Yeah, of course. what am I even saying? You're going to Nasser away Kitchen. Oh, and another great card to Kennedy.
Muslim. Wow. That is huge. That is so huge. And and Team Colorado knows it, too.
Yep.
I can just imagine Jordan right now. Oy vey, oh, brother. Man, there's some...
Boy, I wish
bad turn of fortune for them.
He tried to stream the game, but they had some technical difficulties. I think that dude.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's huge. I mean, that's so huge. I mean, I would much rather be the U.S. now, right? They've got 2 dominations. They're ahead battlegrounds in a 3rd region. Africa is about to not score the entire game. Southeast Asia is about to not score the entire game. They're behind in the Middle East, but 4 ops can fix that, and the USSR's best event to help there is gone.
Both of their events to help Nasser and Muslim.
Yep. Now, Colorado does get OPEC, so I suppose that's not nothing. They also have Central, um,
Yep.
right? So they're going to get, if they want to, they can score a presenceless Dom here. So that's not nothing either. Definitely dump Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
They're counting. They are behind. You guys are behind.
There, yeah. Dump kitchen. Dump Muslim.
Dump Muslim.
I'd keep flower
Yeah, I would
power.
keep Flower Power. If we don't draw a better UN target, that's a fine UN target. But I
Yep.
guess you can also hold on to UN for Gunman.
Yep. Or if we draw wars, we could just event them first.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Okay.
Europe. Oh boy.
Europe redraw is very nice.
I probably now UN decall. Would you space flower power to get to discard?
Ooh, yeah, I kind of like that idea. But how bad is decall really?
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
With Africa and Southeast Asia out forever. I
yeah.
mean,
You redraw Sadat immediately, but you no longer need him. Yeah, this should be a presenceless Dom. Yeah, and they're going to go ahead and pick up their 4 VPs. But
yep,
that gives up a coup.
though.
Defectors
Where do you
redraw is
take
a
it,
little bit
Libya?
annoying. You would have liked to keep that around in the late war for headline peak purposes.
I think I like a shuttle coup in Libya, maybe.
Oh, they're
Oh,
just
they're
going to
going with
take
flower power.
big number here.
Okay. I still like. I think I like space and flower power better with brush. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, but they got it with it, so
Yeah. So they needed a big card and a big number, and they got it. And that'll even out the Middle East. Yep, Che, we knew that was
yep.
coming in Africa.
Two
No,
big rolls there.
I think you just take back Mexico and Cuba now, right?
I would think so.
Unless you take Israel or Saudi.
Yeah, I might not worry about Cuba with Fidel still around, but definitely take Mexico.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. Fidel's around, so yeah, I think that yeah, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, that's also I like Uruguay too. It's gonna take a lot to realign them out of there with access and a four ops in
Yeah.
Argentina, but
Oh,
okay.
they knew about that, didn't they?
I think so.
So, and they were
I think
just
there's just one redraw for us, so
yeah, that would have yeah,
yeah.
maybe that should have been a coup in Guatemala just to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or even Colombia to take, which would have taken Dom.
Yep.
Okay. They get arms race off, but Evergreen State answers with Europe. There's OPEC. That's just going to be 2, though.
Thinking war games, maybe stay out of war games. I mean, if it gets to final, things are still looking. They could be okay for USSR, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so they do UN decall. VOA doesn't come until turn 7, so that's a break for Colorado. Yeah, defectors is annoying to have to lose defectors here. Shuttle, I think, should just fill Middle Eastern battlegrounds, shouldn't it?
I like this now that there's one out of Peru. Okay,
Yeah.
kind of put the ball in their court.
And get some real. Yeah. Okay.
I do, yeah. Probably take Middle East Dom sometime here.
Yeah, you've
Also.
got 5 ops left. I think that's reasonable. Willie for a VP. Yeah, you gotta fix that. Maybe defectors takes. No, they're gonna take the realigns. I was thinking defectors just take Saudi for Middle East Dom and West Germany for Europe Dom, but okay.
Yeah, with 4 ops in Argentina, I'd probably use Brezhnev for the realign there because it might take all 3 or
Yeah, but you don't want to use Brezhnev until they are 7, especially because Colorado probably
right.
knows what is, or Evergreen State probably knows what's in Colorado's hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, swing and a
that
miss on the realigns. Worth noting the Gunman is still around. Gunman back in the deck. Ortega obviously around and unspaceable. But headline peak
which
for
is
the
why
US.
another reason.
Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say another reason to get rid of Flower Power to make sure you can drop a card currently without China cards, without the China card, but both of the U.S. China card events are still in the deck, of course.
Yep. Okay, we did know about nuke subs, so yeah, they want to take a coup with Brezhnev. I think you've got to do that, right? Don't you take a coup as Zaire,
so.
even though it's realignable? Take a
I
guaranteed
do
flip
still
of
like
Zaire,
filling
but,
Saudi,
yeah,
but yeah,
no, not this. Yeah, just taking West Germany back, taking Saudi for Middle East Dom is good too.
What do you think about Saudi and Paraguay? So it makes it the realigned better and
Oh
forces
yeah,
them to
that
do something
makes
without
sense
them
too.
having.
Okay, well they go
Having Peru
Algeria
yet.
and they hit the big number. They needed a 5 and they got it. So that's big. And there's
Okay.
Middle East. Okay, this is a nice hand.
Very good.
Yeah, EEU makes some presenceless. Obviously, Europe scored, so not a big threat there. Aldrich, annoying to see. But with headline peak, it's less powerful. Okay, what are you doing here? Evil Empire is nice to see as well, although you don't have any war cards. Is it 5-year plan? AWACS gets you Middle East Dom, but Muslims is gone. You don't really need it.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I like East European best, though it's not a strong preference.
Yeah, I think I like EEU best.
I'm assuming they'll just take Middle East because they know they can't get done. Well, I guess if they get a good coup, they could. But...
Yeah, I think I would leave Middle East and hope I get a big number there because yeah.
But what's more dangerous? We would take Glasnost instead as the USSR.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I guess you could take. Yeah, no, that's a good point. If you take Glasnost and you leave the Middle East, even if you get a big coup off, the Middle East is just gonna be even, right? So
yeah.
So maybe you do take Middle East. Yeah, maybe you do just take Middle East. Now, yeah, 5-year plan could have been evented in the headline, but since it wasn't evented in the headline, you're not going to event it now with Duck and Cal around.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, if they'd had Lone Gunman here or Ortega, could have been very bad.
well, given that they had headline peak, not so bad. But if they'd had both, that would have been GG.
That's true. That is true. Headline peak comes in handy.
It sure does.
But so does discard, guys.
Yeah.
So does discard.
No spaceable cards here. I don't think you're spacing Glasnost. I think you want to trigger it for a coup somewhere.
Unless they play Reformer right away.
Yeah. But I would have rather, if I had Reformer, I would have played it. I would have headlined it and played Aldrich later with headline peak.
Yeah.
Right. Without headline peak, Aldrich's a better headline with Europe scored. But with headline peak, I would have much rather shown Reformer to the peak than Aldrich.
Yeah. Unless they think they can get the like Asia scoring and then have more reformer points or something. 5-year plan, interesting. Gonna go for
Okay, so they have problems, and they're going to just hand over 3 VPs with Duck.
that is interesting.
Oh, I don't like that. I would rather event that. I would if you're going to do this, just dump Middle East now, right? Just dump it now. Then you can event Evil Empire later. All the war cards are back, right? Korean War is gone. I guess Korean and AI are both gone. So there's only 3. There's 3 war cards left. But yeah, I would have liked, and plus the VP of EU is not nothing. EU, sorry, of Evil Empire is not nothing. Gets you to 6 and gets you in War Games range.
Yeah, I don't know. Would have played that a little differently.
Yeah, I think I would have rather. Or if we were going to use the 3-op, that's fine. But I would have used AWACS because we're not going to event. We weren't eventing AWACS. Yeah.
Correct.
And leave open the option to event Evil Empire. I mean, I've had games where Flower Power has been 10 VP, and it has made the difference.
I think I had a game against you.
Yeah.
Where I gave you 10 VP.
Yeah, maybe that was against you. Maybe we're thinking of the same game. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the case here. Flower Power is going to be a maximum of 6, but still, I'd rather it be 0 and I get a free VP right now. So, Peter, where's your Glasnost coup? Oh, and there's War Games, so it's gone.
He could come back with Star Wars. We'll see. Yeah, great question. I mean, Zaire's not bad. I'd probably try to coup whatever that country is south of
Zimbabwe.
First,
yeah, I think I'd coup Zimbabwe first, and then try and get a Glasnost coup off on Zaire. Okay, now South African really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Zimbabwe.
Can't space it anyway. There we go. Okay, so the USSR probably knows what's coming here, having seen their hand.
Yeah, but I would have, maybe we'd try the Argentina realigns there to get those in before we get realigned in Chile. Because now I think I'd realign Chile, right? I mean, unless you're going to coup Zimbabwe back.
And now we have 5, or Colorado's 5 option. Okay, yeah.
Okay, they jacked Poland up to 7, so they have solidarity. Event the Pope, kids. Event that Pope. EU would have done nothing without the Pope. Would have just been completely ignored. Yeah,
they can still space over there, so we'll see what that means. All right, big roll. Wow, Africa was looking so terrible just like 2 turns ago, and now it's turned the USA favor.
And that is rough for Team Colorado. They controlled Africa for a good chunk of the game, had an iron grip on domination, and now nothing. Solidarity, very spaceable. Oh, okay, that's Quag's nice. That's AI War is nothing. Yuri is whatever. Definitely dumping II War as well. Too. So yeah, that's there nice.
You go. Getting those wars out.
Now just brush an IP war. So, okay, there goes grain. Okay, well, that makes sense why they didn't space solidarity.
Yeah. Yep. Finally takes West Germany back. Probably coup Colombia here. He'll just get a Dom, you know? This last one.
Anytime. Oh, okay, Pershing. Mildly annoying reformer to come. I think you have to fix that. You can't allow a flip of any of those countries. I think you've got to fix all 3 of those, even with Europe scored.
Yep. Oh.
I don't like this. If you're gonna coup, I would rather coup. No. I would rather coup Peru to play defense because we already have 3 battlegrounds than Paraguay.
Yeah, but I think you're right about.
I hate the idea of letting reformer flip Italy or France. And they coup Colombia.
That'd be brutal.
to get the Dom. Okay, well, they get the Dom.
Oh boy.
Boy, here's a lot of good,
Terrorism?
lot of bad.
Yeah.
But they do get We Will Bury
This
You
is
and
interesting.
Junta. So I don't know what Colorado could have to lower DEFCON. We've already seen Aldrich, obviously, but they could have terrorism.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this has to be a gunman headline, unless, of course, we see, a degrader, which I think at this point is just CMC, or how I learned.
I don't remember what's in the discard, what's removed, and what's still around.
Yeah.
But it's probably got to be gunman here.
Gunman's not even that bad because what you're gonna a coup with gunman
Yeah.
is and showing this hand's also not bad. This is a great hand. Easy space
African
if we
one
will
stabs
bury
at
you.
6.
Yeah, African one stabs are at 6. Now I guess you're gonna immediately see realigns in Chile. So maybe you'll probably, if you headline gunman here, you're gonna probably see a coup in Nigeria or Zaire just to get it down, I guess, and then immediate realigns in Chile probably. Okay, well, yeah, they're going to stop headline peak, but too little, too late.
Get that gunman out.
This is a clear gunman. I don't even know what they're thinking about.
Yeah. Another DEFCON lower would have been Ortega, but obviously you'd rather have the USA. Draw that. Okay.
Okay, so gunman gone, but Ortega's still around and unspaceable, and now headline peak is gone. Colorado events one small step. They could have evented it before and chose not to.
Wonder if they have Star Wars.
Yeah. A nice hand here for Washington. They get Cal is inactive. Obviously, Purge nice to have. Junta nice to have. They're all very good tools to fight for South America. But just if they do go the Chile realign route, just breaking Chile is not going to be enough. They have to completely flip it in order to stop Dom.
Yep. I think I'd probably use Lone Gunman for something other than the coup here, and then take it somewhere else.
So okay, so would you? Venezuela and Brazil are both overprotected and realignable. If you use gunman, would you think about using gunman for a one-shot realign of Chile?
Yeah, if it goes well, then great. You can kind of invest there. But I feel like South America is not gonna go our way here. I'd probably do a big coup on Mexico. Could do Libya again. Those have scored regions, of course, but
yeah. Okay, coup Colombia to stop Dom.
That does stop domination. And
okay, we will bury you as 3 VPs. Cal is a 4-op coup, and Purge is Purge.
Not given Purge.
Yeah.
I think this is okay. Now we can't play south right away, but we can coup back.
Yeah, you're going to coup
Colombia.
back. Okay, reestablish Dom, and now you. Or are you just gonna? Do you think you coup Colombia again, or do you try the realigns and hope you get the 6 out?
Do they have the reformer? Because this would be their chance to get extra ops from it.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been the headline over one small step, certainly, though.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, I'd probably do the realigns here. Now that, yeah.
I mean, this is a very close game. If Colorado can flip over, influence.
Oh no, I don't like that.
Okay. Stops the Dom.
Yeah, they knew about. I would do Peru in that case, right?
Yeah, definitely Peru. Well, they're going to realign. I think that's what. So this gives them a +1 on Argentina realigns, but there's 5 in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need big numbers. And even if you hit it, they can just take back.
Right. I like you said, playing defensively, putting in Peru and cooing Peru is what I would do. I think.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, and that looks like that's what they're going to do. Even a 4 here would be huge, and they get a 5. Yeah, okay. So now they have stopped the realigned threat on Chile. They have 6 countries to 4. Yeah, boy, they didn't take their realigns on Chile when they had them.
Yep.
Now, obviously, they needed perfect rolls. They needed to get 6 out. They needed to get 6 out of Chile, 6 blue influence out of Chile, and none of their own.
Oh, they do get the space, but not a point space.
Yeah.
And we don't have anything to space, and they have Asia. Oh boy. Left and right. We also need to, I was going to say, put some ops back in West Germany with Truman out of the game. That's Also want to put some ops back in Italy. They don't have the reformer now, obviously, but nothing is overprotected in Europe right now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I want to get France. We need 1 in France. We need 1 in Italy for sure.
Yeesh. Yeah, I'm not sure who's ahead here.
So 4 on
Asia's
the board.
Big.
Yeah, Asia is 8. Asia's 8, but Europe and South America are 5 each. So Europe and South America are 5 each. Yeah, I think I'd rather be.
Cuba could flip in an instant with Fidel around.
That's true. Fidel, turn 10 Fidel flipping to Central America Dom gives the edge to the. Yeah, I mean we're at that point. I think I prefer the U.S.'s position, but 1 battleground flip would change my mind. What do you think?
I was thinking too, about cultural. We got that out so quickly. It's like, all right, we're gonna have control over the China card the whole game, and we haven't seen the China card since. Have we seen it at all this game?
China card has not been played this entire game. Cultural was triggered turn 4 AR1 earliest possible time. Usuri was played for ops. Nixon was spaced by Colorado. Both could show up turn 10, I believe. I believe Nixon was spaced on turn 6.
Ortega also a problem because of that,
Yeah.
Now we don't have headline peak anymore. Can't discard at all. So terrorism, Ortega, Fidel. There's lots of problems here, even though the U.S. might be ahead, possibly. And of course, like we said in Europe, like a reformer is just going to decimate us.
Yep. So I think now a huge thing here is it seems like the Team Washington's going to hold Purge and Purge Colorado turn 10, which will be huge.
Yeah,
that'll
make a difference.
Should be using Cal on AR6 to overprotect France, put a 4th in Italy. Hostage crisis gone is nice. And that's kind of an impotent jam with 2 4 hops in the U.S. hand. This would be France, Italy to Chile for me.
Ooh, I wouldn't give that early.
No. Now Nigeria and Zaire are realignable at +1. Okay. That's not bad.
That's a good play.
So you could allow that. No, you can't allow that. You're not going to allow that and put the 4 ops back in. Oh, that is what they're going to do. They really want to hold Purge.
Yeah.
They really want to hold Purge. So they're going to allow that, let Chile go to 10-8. Okay, so the jam makes sense. I didn't like it before, but now it makes sense. But now you have to put all. Yeah, you got to put all those ops back in Chile, and you're not overprotecting Europe.
Or you just accept that South America is going to be even, but I definitely think Europe has got to be. Nope, they are going to put all of them in there. Okay.
I think this could be wildly reckless with Reformer coming.
Yeah.
Reformer, Purge.
Chernobyl too.
Purge helps you. And there goes Usuri. Okay.
Usuri.
Here we go. Turn 10. Ooh, Salt could be VOA. Star Wars, not anything. North Sea could be really good. But yeah, it's a clear purge.
Yeah. Don't have to play Fidel, probably, unless they terrorize Salt out of our hands.
Yeah. Getting Fidel is huge. This is probably a winning hand. Because, not being able to have... So, we were talking about it. Reformer is very bad. But having Purge, it makes it less bad. Not having Chile control is bad, but having Purge makes it less bad. This is not a great hand, but it should be good enough, I would think. Especially with a potential Salt for VOA.
Yes, yeah, Salt for VOA, huge.
Everything's scored, so scoring card's not a factor here. But if you look at the board, let's assume the U.S. takes Chile back. That's 5 in South America, 5 in Europe. Let's assume the U.S. takes Cuba back. That's 1 in Central America, so that's 11. 12 because of the 1 in Africa. 8 in Asia for Team Colorado. So that's 4 on the board, right? And then 4 for the U.S. on the board, 4 for the USSR on the VP track, 1 for China, Team Colorado. So Team Colorado up by 1. If you assume assume Cuba and Chile are both taken back by the U.S., Team Colorado is up 1. Now they're about to enter turn 10, being purged though, and potentially going to have to face down Assault for VOA. Oh boy. Oh.
Okay, that misses.
Huge miss. All right, Peter. Do you agree with my math, Peter?
I think so. Boy.
That was a really quick one-op coup. And a brush headline means they don't have Reformer.
I was about to say that. So I definitely like USA position here. Where is one small step? Because we could also Salt for that and activate Star Wars. With them purged, they would have to have a 4-op card to space. But that might be too much effort.
Yeah. Oh boy, I love that. I mean, salting for VOA is the more traditional play, but salting for okay. They're gonna terrorize early. I might have waited on that to try and pick up VOA. But yeah, salting for one small step, potentially picking up 4 VPs out of it, and then getting Star Wars for VOA. That would have been some 5D chess. But I think we would have.
I'm not even sure.
We would have seen Team Colorado space the China card.
Yeah, probably.
Right? I think that would have been a classic situation for spacing the China card.
Probably, yeah. Can't play that now, boys.
Nope.
Yeah. Definitely don't need the event. So we don't want to play Fidel.
No.
And this looks pretty good. I don't see the USSR coming back from this.
Yes. So as of right now, the USSR is up by a VP 3 if you count Milops. But with VOA in hand here, terrorism gone, USSR is purged. There, I think Washington has this.
Yep.
Also, Kenya being taken. This isn't Twilight Struggle Red Sea, folks. Kenya was just taken.
That turn 7 Kennedy draw, man, that made a huge difference in this game.
Yep.
Africa never scoring, Southeast Asia never scoring. A lot of work for nothing,
yeah.
Literally.
Now, talk to me about Quagmire.
I think that's in the discard.
Is it in the discard? Okay, because an AR7 Quagmire here could be good enough to win for the USSR. I think. But yeah, if it's in the discard, yeah, I think you just fix that, right? You just fix it.
Yep.
USSR still up 1, 3 with Milops by my math.
Yeah, we need to coup here. It's gonna have to be NATO, I think, because Marine Barracks is gonna be a fix.
Yeah, Marine Barracks is an empty AR. Fidel is obviously unplayable, and then VOA has to be an event. You could just give up the Milops.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You could definitely do that.
Voice is what's voice? Voice is going to give. Voice isn't going to do anything in Central
Africa and Middle East.
It will give us Dom in the Middle East. Although, well, no, it won't, right? Because we're giving Marine Barracks and we have to repair the battleground. So if we don't have Lebanon, it doesn't give us Dom in the Middle East.
That's true, but like you said, if we give up Milops, we can use.
If we, I think you give up on the Milops here. But yeah, Team Colorado needs. Missile Envy is gone, right? Missile Envy's gone, but I think they need Quagmire or Missile Envy to win, and I don't think either of them are available. They need some way to stop Washington from playing VOA.
Yep.
Because even at its most impotent, VOA is 4 VPs to just break 4 battlegrounds. Even if it doesn't affect any DOMs, which it can, it just breaks 4 battlegrounds, which is going to be enough at this moment. Now, Team Colorado having Reformer would change that. Oh, ABM for Ops. And they're just going to jam. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, force the fix. Taking Jordan's not bad. And there's no reason to overprotect France at all. Well. No reason to overprotect France if you're not also going to overprotect West Germany, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would do both of them.
If doing both is fine, or neither, but one and not the other doesn't make sense. Jordan is not bad here because it means then VOA gives you Dom in the Middle East if you just repair the battleground. You don't need Lebanon.
We could still do it if we put one in Lebanon and one in whatever battleground they take out of, because they'd need to use China to take it, and we could use 2 ops, one to take out of Iraq and Saudi.
Yep.
But I think I liked West Germany a little more because we have some weak cards here that we don't want to play in Europe.
Yeah, but what about an ABM coup of Zaire? A 3-op coup of Zaire? They needed a big role.
Yeah.
But they know we have voice. Like what would they need in Zaire? They would need a 5 to flip it. A 5 would flip.
Is that better than Mexico?
Oh yeah, Mexico. They need the same 5. Yeah. Okay, an early Chernobyl.
Okay, now what are we going to fix Europe with? Marine Barracks, I guess.
Yeah, because they're gonna. Yeah, you're right. I like. Yeah, you overprotect. If you overprotect both, they were just gonna poke UK. I think. Okay, they're gonna.
That doesn't even matter with Turkey.
Oh, that's true. Yes, you're right with Turkey. Okay, so now you do Europe, and then Marine Barracks fixes Europe.
Yep. But do we put both in there? Are they going to put China in there? Does that matter?
No, they're not, because we just used Chernobyl in Europe. So this is just going to be. Okay. I don't understand that. Why one Libya, one Egypt? Why not both Libya? Right? Then we could potentially take Libya. But they must have. Okay, Reformer here. They don't have it, but Reformer here makes them presenceless, right? No, it doesn't. Because you need 2 Italy, 2 France, 1 West Germany, 1 Turkey, and 1 UK. I think you need 7 to make them presenceless.
2. Yeah, you're right.
And you can't take a non-battleground either. So yeah. Colorado, I believe now is up. Well, they were up 1, but now they're up 4 because of the Middle East. But still, we can definitely get 4 VPs out of VOA. Or they're up 6. They're up 6 because of Millops, and that now Washington is not getting.
Yep. So China, 3 ops.
And where's China going to go?
No really good realign targets.
Africa is 8-7 USSR, so VOA is not going to give Dom there. VOA is not doing as turn 10 AR7 VOAs go. This is not going to be a strong one. It's got to go to Middle East. It's got to go Iraq, Saudi.
I think 2 Middle East and 2 Africa should be domination for both, right?
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. Ivory Coast and Tunisia. Ivory Coast, Tunisia, Iraq, Saudi is domination in both right now.
Unless they use China to take Egypt or something, then it would just...
Well, they don't have access to Egypt. That's why I was questioning the Egypt play.
No, they do through Sudan,
of
right?
course they do. I'm sorry. See, this is why we need 2 commentators. When I say something stupid, you can correct me. Yes. That's why I didn't like the Egypt play, but it makes a ton more sense because I forgot about the backdoor into Egypt through Sudan. Yes, they can take Egypt if they want to with China. And what are they going to do? Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do.
That's what they do.
Okay.
Okay, so we can...
So it's 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th is just break a random battleground. Because you can't. It's not going to do anything in Africa. It's that. Yeah, that's the best you have.
Yep.
And I think
you could also do Syria, and then take your Africa Dom. But this is probably better, right?
Yeah. This is better. 3 battlegrounds plus flipping Dom in the Middle East.
Yeah.
They're doing the math.
Africa.
I think this is good enough to win by 1 or 2. Oh, 3. Wow.
Yeah, there we go.
What a game.
What a game. Yeah. Man, oh man.
What a wild game. Incredibly close game. Congratulations to Washington for taking this one in by 3 in final scoring. Back and forth game. Felt like early on in the early war and then early on in the mid-war, even though the U.S. at one point took a double-digit VP lead, I really liked Colorado's position. But, I mean, you know who the MVP was of this game.
Yes, I do. Man, that Ask Not. Killer.
Yeah. Mr. Kennedy, you know, when you think about the big U.S. cards to make a difference in the game, obviously Grain, Voice, CRG, Puppets, you know, those are the cards that come up in the mid-war that you think about being huge, but today it was absolutely Kennedy. Grain did very little. VOA did just enough on turn 10 after being salted for. But yeah, that was huge. So I'm a little would there have been a path if Colorado had used China on AR6 and Chernobyl on AR7? Because Chernobyl could have poked Europe. Right?
Yeah.
You could have used Chernobyl on AR7 to poke Europe, and then VOA can't do anything about that. Mm-hmm. So what if they had just jammed West Germany with China instead of Chernobyl? Right? Would that have made sense?
Yeah.
Because West
Germany... It could have, yeah. It would have changed the way they played things, of course. I mean, they knew that they had VOA, but they didn't know the rest of the hand, and the rest of the hand was pretty weak. And that could have made a difference. Yeah, because they would have had to overprotect West Germany, but instead they only had to put 1 back in. I don't know if it would have been enough to swing it, but yeah, maybe that would have made a difference. So anyway.
Thanks everybody for watching. This was a great game. Thank you to Ajoy for sending the video. And I'm so glad we got to call this one. So we can wrap it up here. Peter, any final thoughts on this one before we say goodbye?
That was a real good game, though, guys. Thanks for sending it in. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for our coverage of the U.S. Cup today. Thank you to Ajoy for sending the video. Thanks to the players for scheduling this game. Thanks to Peter for joining me. Thanks to our executive producer, Anton Scott, for getting this on the air. And thanks most of all to you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this game as much as we enjoyed bringing it home to you. But until next time, for Peter Frantz, this is Justin Abramson. That was fun, but now it's done. So long, everybody.
I heard a young father, a very prominent young man in the entertainment world, addressing a tremendous gathering in California. It was during the time of the Cold War, and communism and our own way of life were very much on people's minds, and he was speaking to that subject. And suddenly, though, I heard him say, "I love my little girls more than anything," and I said to myself, "Oh no, don't, you can't, don't say that." But I had underestimated him. He went on, I would rather see my little girls die now, still believing in God, than have them grow up under communism and one day die no longer believing in God. And thereby remove yourself from the struggle between right and wrong.